On the unit, the inbound air is here. It goes inside the box, including an airflow switch, then back out to a regulator where you control the pressure you want at the gun. Then it goes out of the regulator into your Humphrey valve, which shuts off the air during flush sequences with electrostatic gas. On the fluid section side, the inbound of the unit is on the back side, which is attached to this gauge. This gauge is going to show what inbound fluid pressure you have to the pump. Then on the front side here, the outbound to your manifold block are these hoses in the front. Right now, currently, we're running this pump attached to the diaphragm pump feeding all 4 of the units. On the pump, you will have a solvent meter. The solvent meter just calculates how much solvent is being run through the system at any given time. That runs down into your shut-off valve, which will shut off solvent when you are during the spray with electrostatics. What you're looking at now is what Graco calls the booth control display. This is what's mounted inside the booth for the operator to control. Just going over the buttons, the top left here is your alarm. If there's an alarm at the system, this is going to flash red. At that point, it'll read out here across the top what error is happening. Depending on the error, you will be able to reset it. If it's something major or a pump went down, you will have to head back to that home screen. The next button down is what they call standby mode. Guns in standby mode, like we currently are, we're in recipe 61, is just going to sit there. It's not going to allow you to flush or spray. It's just kind of sitting there. The bottom one here is spray mode. So when you load a recipe, it'll put you into standby, and when you're ready to spray, you just click the spray mode. You'll do your mix time, and then you will be in spray mode. Bottom one over here is your flush. To flush at any time, you can just click that button, and you'll be able to flush out the gun whatever color you're at. The next one up is what is considered your pressure changer. You're allowed, depending on each recipe, you're allowed a variation of pressures. You control that by clicking the pressure and going up and down over here. So if you need more pressure, you click up and then enter, down and enter to lower the pressure. Top one, do not worry about it this time. But over on the right here, these up and down arrows are how you're going to change your recipe. And then the bottom right is your enter or select key. As I said, the main advantage to the PD2K is the ability to mix close to the belt to cut down on waste. The hose bundles coming out of the manifold consist of 4 hoses. You're going to have your solvent hose, catalyst hose, your base, and then your air. You can have these at varying length. Right now we have them at 36 feet. These hoses all run together and they connect into what you call the belt manifold or just manifold. This manifold is where the hoses connect, your A side, your B side, your solvent. Pretty much this is where, at this point is where it mixes. This is where your catalyst and the base mix. So instead of having 30, 25, whatever length hose mixed, that when you want to change colors you waste and you also have to flush, it's now mixed from here. And for this current setup, we have a 6-foot wick hose connector. So really, when you want to change color or you want to flush, you're only wasting material from the manifold out through this hose to the gun. It significantly cuts down on your waste in your solvent usage. Once your sprayer is ready to spray, he's going to select his recipe. We're going to do recipe 1. Click enter. It's going to ask you to do a flush to start off the day. So at that time, you got to make sure on your belt here, it's set in the flush position, the gun angled down. So once it's on that side, you pull the trigger on the gun, it's going to do a flush, and it's going to stop. At that time, your gun and your hose set are flushed. So on your screen, it's going to put you back into standby. To begin spraying in color 1, you push the bottom spray button. And then you also, on the belt, switch it to spray mode. At that time, it's then set. You're going to have to mix your material. So you pull the trigger, it will begin to mix. It'll take a little bit to mix the material out to the gun. Once the material is mixed, the gun will start. At that right now, like I showed you, we're in recipe 1. So say your sprayer is done in recipe 1, he wants to switch to a different color. He will then have to put his gun in standby mode, which won't allow it to shoot anything. Once it's in standby mode, he has the ability to switch to whatever recipe he wants. When switching to another recipe, it is always going to kick you. There I selected recipe 2. It's always going to kick you from standby into flush. You always have to flush the first color before you move on to your next color. So it's asking us to flush. So we grab our belt and switch it to flush. And we begin to flush. Once the flush is complete, the solvent will stop flowing. And now you can switch your gun to your next set of hoses, which are color 2 or color 3 or whatever you want to move on to. As I noted before, this gun down here on the bottom out on your main screen is going to show you what the gun is doing. Right now the gun is currently not loaded, so it's kind of in standby. It shows nothing in the gun. What you're going to want to do is, if you're out here, you can actually see what the operator inside the booth is doing. The operator inside the booth, say he wants to select recipe 3, you will see a change on here. He's now going to be ready to load recipe 3 and start with 3. Or if he selects 2, it'll change to 2. In this case, we're going to do recipe 1. So it shows that we're about ready to do recipe 1. We're in standby now. So we select recipe 1. We are ready to spray, so the booth guy will click spray. There it shows that the gun is full of solvent because it was flushed. It also shows you what ratio we're going to spray at, 2.8 to 1. It starts the pot life, which we have set at 90 minutes, and it shows you what currently we're going to be spraying at, which is 10 psi, and then it shows you how much cc's it's moving and how much we've done in this job so far, which is 0 and 0. So to begin, you'll see the operator spray, where he'll start mixing. You will see the gun begin to turn blue or purple, which means he is loading the gun. Once it's loaded, the air will begin to turn on. And there you'll see that he's spraying. He's mixed, he's now good to go. The recipe he's in shows at the bottom left is 1, and over here is all his material usage. Right now it's flowing at 800, and around 800 now down to 700 cc's per minute. And it's calculating the total amount of cc used during this job. So let's say he shuts down, now he's ready to switch colors. He's currently loaded and everything, but you can see from out here that he's switching colors. So he puts the gun into standby, which puts it up, but it's still purple at this point because it's loaded with color 1. So let's say he's moving on to color 2. It shows here that he's going into color 2. The gun turns light purple, which means he's about to flush. If you watch during the flush sequence, you'll see it count down. The gun slowly begins to go down, and at that point now he's completely empty. There's no colors loaded, and he can go straight into color 2, where he switches to color 2. Now he's ready to mix material and get into his ratios. Over there it shows you that recipe 2 is 3.5 to 1. At the end of the day, it's simple. Whatever your color you're in, you're going to go to standby mode. You're going to click flush. You're going to flush. The gun's going to show 0. You're now done at the end of the day. The operator can come outside. Click the top left button. It shuts down the pumps, and you're ready to go. There's no more mixed material. There's nothing else to do. You can walk away.